is Rehab for the Soul session number 3, and today we're going to be talking about what is spiritual alignment. Now, some of you might be familiar with the term spiritual experience, or having had a spiritual awakening. Does that sound familiar to anybody, a spiritual awakening? And so I want to kind of just explain to you what spiritual alignment is, how it's different from having had a spiritual awakening, and how we use spiritual alignment to treat addiction. Okay? So, spiritual alignment, basically, again, we're talking about what word here? Spiritual. Guys, do you notice how everything we discuss always starts with this basis of the word spiritual? And when we're talking about spiritual, what are we really talking about here? Again, it's the soul, okay? And spiritual alignment can really be summed up pretty quickly, okay? So, when we're building, if you remember from our last 2 videos, we start with the soul, because that's our foundation, and the next layer or dimension that we all have is the emotional dimension, right? And this is where we have feelings. Third layer up, this is the mental, this is where our thoughts are. And then the last layer, this is the physical layer. This is where, this is the body, this is where action happens, this is where we make decisions. Action, choices, behaviors. Okay? So, when we're talking about spiritual alignment, and again, remember, how do we build the house, guys? We build the house from the foundation up. So the foundation of our house and of us is the soul. Then we have our emotions, then we have our thoughts, then we have our body. And we always work from the ground up, or also from the inside out. All right? So what's spiritual, right? The next word, that's a spiritual, talking about the soul. Spiritual alignment. Alignment. If something is in alignment, something is in align with something, what does that mean? That means it is in align with, it is building upon, it is coming into that. All right, so when we're talking about spiritual alignment, what is the soul? What are we aligning with here? So spiritual alignment simply means that when we become in touch with our authentic self, which we talked about how to find your authentic self in the last video, that was session number 2 in Rehab for the Soul. Look it up and watch it if you haven't, so this can make some sense to you. But when you find authentic self, all right, this is the core. This means you're just fixing the foundation. When you find authentic self, this is where you build now. When you are in touch with yourself, your real, true, authentic self, what is impacted? Well, all of this is impacted. So you found authentic self, you're living true to it, you start to feel better, okay? You have better feeling emotions, and some of those might be peace, serenity, happiness, joy, clarity, all right? These are all feeling words. So you start to feel better, and when you feel better, what kind of thoughts? What kind of thoughts do you have? If you feel better, you think better thoughts, all right? You think positive thoughts. We use the word positive, negative. I don't like those words. I think that there's no such thing as negative thoughts per se, or positive. All of our thoughts and emotions have benefit for us, and we can talk about that at another time. I'll definitely put a video out for you on that, not in the too far off future. So we start to feel better, our thoughts become healthy, there's more confidence in our thoughts, there's more clarity, there's more sureness in our thoughts. And if our thoughts, right, if our thoughts are better, then what do we think we're going to make healthy choices? Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. So as you can see, this is spiritual alignment. You line up with your true authentic self. You take a minute, you say, hey, who am I? What are my preferences? Then you feel better. Then you think better. Then you make better choices. And that's simply spiritual alignment. I mean, really, it's that simple. Everything lines up. Okay? Now, again, at Recovery Concepts and Consulting, we use the method of spiritual alignment to treat addiction. Other treatment facilities traditionally want to treat this from the top down. Okay, so they want to say, hey, let's fix what's going wrong in the body, which is first things first. If you're putting drugs and alcohol or a substance or something into your body, they want to address that first. And listen, I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just not right. It's only treating the symptom, all right? Spiritual alignment treats the problem, okay? So if you remember, drug and alcohol use is just one small symptom of addiction. And that's what other treatment modalities that you hear being tossed around, like evidence-based therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, these are all things. Guys, when you hear someone talk about evidence-based therapy, what that means is basically that insurance is going to pay somebody to use that treatment modality. Insurance companies will pay for that. Now, most evidence-based treatments, they're not going to treat the problem, they're just going to treat the symptoms. And anything above this line here, all of this stuff up here is a symptom. So anything you have going, quote unquote, wrong in your physical body, in your unhealthy thoughts, and in your feeling bad, those are just symptoms. And so if you're only treating from here up, you're not treating the problem. I mean, sure, you can make these symptoms go away, but they're going to come back because you haven't fixed the problem. Let me break it down like this. If maybe, I don't know, you're out walking and you fall down and you break your arm, all right? What's going to be a symptom of a broken arm? Well, a symptom of a broken arm is going to be pain, right? Your arm is going to hurt. You're going to have some pain. Now, if we take this method, all right, now, and we think about traditional treatment facilities and how things have been structured historically here, pain is going to be the first thing you're going to want to get resolved. But so we can give you Tylenol. Yes, Tylenol really works for pain. My opiate addicts out there, Tylenol really does work if you give it a chance. The Tylenol is going to treat the pain. We can give you something for the pain, right? A doctor's going to say, here, take this. It'll take the pain away. You're going to not feel that pain. Now, what's the problem, though? Just because you don't feel the pain doesn't mean you still don't have a broken arm. Your arm is still broke. So, if you don't do something about this broken arm, which is the problem, right? The broken arm is the problem. The pain is the symptom. What's going to happen when this treatment wears off? The pain's going to come back. Okay? The pain's going to keep coming back. So, hence why the relapse rate is upwards of 70% and climbing this day and age. And people have been going in and out of rehab 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 to 20 times. Completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. All right? It's because we're just treating the symptoms in traditional rehab and we're not treating the problem. Okay? Because remember, drugs and alcohol are not the problem. What's the problem? Loss of authentic self, not spiritual alignment, the lack of spiritual alignment. So in treating this, we work from the bottom to the top. Spiritual alignment simply means when you can get into spiritual alignment, you'll feel better. When you feel better, you think healthy thoughts. When you think healthy thoughts, you make healthy choices and decisions. Boom. Simple. Easy, right? Okay. So that's spiritual alignment. The second thing I promised to do for you guys today is teach you the difference between spiritual alignment and having a spiritual awakening. Now, some of you might not be familiar with the term spiritual awakening. I think that you are, though. This is a 12-step term, and people will often throw this term around and say, you know, having had a spiritual awakening, coming to a spiritual awakening. And basically, the spiritual awakening implies that all of a sudden, you know, when we talk about an awakening, it feels very what? It feels very out of nowhere. It feels like it's random. Like all of a sudden, all this knowledge becomes available. But most importantly, the biggest problem I have with the word awakening is that the word spiritual awakening implies that it's a one-time event. Like you have this spiritual awakening and all of a sudden all the answers are revealed to you. Guys, reality doesn't work that way. There are a lot of people out there, whether you're addicts or alcoholics or not, where you have these moments in life where you gain what we call clarity. All right? You gain clarity. But that doesn't mean just because you gain clarity one time that that's all that's needed and you have it forever. All right? And it's just not the case. We all move in and out of time periods where we have more clarity than we do at other times in our lives. And guess what? That's natural. It's just natural. It depends on where we are growing. It depends on what's going on around us. It depends on who's around us. It depends on what, you know, where we are, period, in our physical journey and in our emotional journey. So when we talk about having had a spiritual awakening, you know, had also implies that this is, you know, something in the past, and again, it's a one-time event. Not accurate, all right? What we do have are moments of clarity, right? And we're talking clarity, we mean clearness. We mean clarity feels sure-footed. Clarity feels engaged. Clarity feels on point. Clarity feels in the zone, all right? And that's basically the emotion that, you know, ideally we all want to evoke to make what? Healthier decisions. Okay? So when we're talking spiritual awakening, it is implying a one-time event, that it suddenly becomes available to you, it's random, it's out of nowhere, and you don't really have any control or say over it. It's just something that happens to you. All right? Now, the difference between now we're talking about spiritual alignment. Okay, spiritual alignment happens multiple times. You can move in and out of spiritual alignment throughout your day. All right? Everybody, addict, alcoholic or not, we're always moving in and out. We're flowing in and out of spiritual alignment. Okay? And so when we say that, you know, you might be going about your day and in the morning you feel really good. You feel on point, you're solid, you're ready to go. And then maybe by like lunchtime, you want to kill everybody. Perfectly normal and natural. It's all part of being a spiritual being and having human experiences. Okay? And so, again, I can't stress enough how this process is not unique. It's not just addicts or alcoholics that go through this. This is all human beings. This is how this works. And so the spiritual alignment thing, you're going to go in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's something that you can have awareness about. Where here, it just feels random and like it came out of nowhere and it's a one-time event. And it's something that you don't per se have control over. But when we're talking spiritual alignment, again, you possessing the awareness of whether you're in spiritual alignment or out of spiritual alignment. It's really that simple. Now, big question, right? Oh, well, Miss April, how do I know when I'm in spiritual alignment? Well, if you ask that question, that's a very good question, and I have a very good answer. How do you know when you are in spiritual alignment? You know by one way and one way only. By the way that you feel. Let it sink in. How do you know if you're in spiritual alignment? By the way that you feel. That's the first thing you're going to notice. Why? Because where does spiritual alignment live? It's the soul. Why does spiritual alignment live in the soul? Because that's where our authentic self is, because we are the soul. We don't have a soul. We are the soul. And if you remember, what layer wraps around, what dimension of us wraps around the soul? Which layer is closest to the soul? It's the emotional. I mean, that is it. It's the emotional. So, of course, you're going to feel, the first place you're going to feel whether you're in spiritual alignment or out of spiritual alignment is in the emotional realm. Okay, so to keep it real simple, when you're in spiritual alignment, you're going to have feelings of clarity, joy, content, happy, peaceful, hopeful, bliss. Right? All those things we kind of want to say, we want to put a label on them and say that they're positive feeling emotions, even though there's no such thing as positive or negative feeling emotions. And I'm just using those words for sake of this conversation and explaining this to you guys, right? So when you're in spiritual alignment, those are some of the types of emotions you're going to feel. When you're out of spiritual alignment, you're going to feel despair, sad, grief, loss, gosh, we could go on forever here, anger, rage, anxiety. Here's two big ones, shame and guilt, right? So, very simple. Think of this as the gas gauge on your car. Your emotions are like the gas gauge on your car, and that's how you can decide whether you are in spiritual alignment or not. Now, some of you are sitting here saying to yourselves, fuck, I feel that way all the time, Miss April. Yeah, if you've been living out of alignment and you don't have a lot of this knowledge, it's not uncommon for a lot of people live this way, and they don't even know it. Okay, so don't feel bad if you're down here. That's all right, because you can always move up and get into spiritual alignment. And remember, spiritual alignment is something you're going to move in and out of throughout the day. But the trick is, it doesn't have to be, so far down on the scale every day, all day. You're gonna learn through this process and through this YouTube channel how to work your way up the emotional scale so you do start to feel better. Because when you're in alignment with your authentic self and you're really living true to self and you understand that, then the spiritual alignment, everything lines up. Everything lines up from there. So this is your center, this is your core. First place you notice whether you're in spiritual alignment or out of it is in the emotional realm. Guys, that's really it. And that's why at Recovery Concepts and Consulting, we use this approach of spiritual alignment in treating addiction, because if you get in alignment with who you really are, and I know you're going to say, well, Miss April, you don't know me. No, you don't know you. Most people don't. A lot of people don't. At any given point in time, some days I don't. And you don't have to be, in spiritual alignment 110% of the time, all day, every day. That's not how this works. All you have to do is gain the awareness of how to know whether you're in or you're out. And that's what we teach you, okay? That's what I will teach you how to do, whether to know whether you're in spiritual alignment or not. And once you have the tools to do that, guess what, guys? You don't need me anymore. You don't need treatment anymore. Because now what I've done is given you the tools so you can treat yourself. No more revolving door rehab here. The game's got to end. The game's got to change. We have to redefine rehab, because the relapse rate of 70% is outrageous and unacceptable, and it's disgusting. And shame on you people who continue to work in the field and promote something that doesn't treat the problem and just the symptoms. I'm not sure who's sicker, you or the patients you're treating or claiming to treat. Just because you feel better, guys, doesn't mean you're getting better. So, spiritual alignment, the power is going to be given to you, and the power is going to be put in your hands so you can understand how to help yourself. Guys, it ain't perfect, but it's rock and roll. If you appreciate what I'm putting out here and the content that you like on YouTube, throw me a like, subscribe to the channel, share the channel, drop a comment. Let me know what topics you would like me to discuss. Anything's fair game. Anything and everything I will talk about. So follow us on Facebook, Recovery Concepts and Consulting LLC. Give the office a call if you want to schedule a session with me. All of the information that I present here, all this content, we can tailor to you and get you going. Not everybody needs 500 sessions, all right? That's not how this works. This is a very simplified, easy, and accessible opportunity for everybody to get treatment, all right? I don't care who you are, everybody to get the help that they need. So I've made this very simple and easy. You just have to kind of open your mind and kick the old treatment method to the curb and kind of break yourself out of the box, because it just isn't working anymore. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the flip. Thanks for tuning in.